North Korea's totalitarian state functions as a dynasty, and a cult of personality surrounds its ruler.
It really is more like a monarchy led by the Kims rather than a truly socialist country.
Supreme Leader Kim Jong-un is the third generation of his family to lead the secretive country. Now, a lesser-known Kim has emerged as his number 2 and possible successor. His sister,
Kim Yo-jong is the most powerful woman not only in contemporary North Korea, but perhaps all of Korean history.
Kim Yo-jong has already played a significant role on the international stage, charming and antagonizing North Korea's rivals.
The North Koreans are trying to paint Kim Yo-jong as this fearsome, strong, bold, sometimes threatening, sometimes charming political figure. But is she ready to step into a bigger role?
101 East investigates the rise of North Korea's most powerful woman.
조선노동당 중앙위원회 부부장 김여정 동지가 토론했습니다.
덩치들, 그처럼 오목했던 방역대전의 나날을 청하하는 이 자리에 서니 지난 91일간의 만단 사연의 시분처가 다시금 내리에 뜨겁게 흐르며 형언할 수 없는 격정을 솟구치게 합니다.
Kim Yo-jong is the younger sister of North Korea's supreme leader, Kim Jong-un. In August 2022, she addressed the country's top officials to claim victory over COVID-19. All thanks to her big brother.
안타깝게도 홀로 단신으로 위기 앞에 서시어 때로는 당황해하기도 하시고 안타까워하기도 하시면서 그토록 머지름을 쓰시는 모습을 배울 때 석이 타들고 한 몸에 떠매신 그 중화를 도로들이지 못해 가슴을 치던 순간들을 백천만 가지 이르는 대책과 방도들을 직접 내놓으시었고 불철주야 방역 전장들을 찾으시며 명철한 방약들을 가르쳐 주시었습니다.
The audience was moved to tears by her words.
나라의 방역 사업을 지도해 주신 우리나라가 오늘의 높은 단상에 오르게 되었습니다.
Believed to be 35 years old, she's become an important figure in North Korea. She entered public life on December 17th, 2011, as the country mourned the death of her father, former leader Kim Jong-il. Jean Lee was one of the few foreign journalists in North Korea's capital, Pyongyang, at the time.
She was kept behind the scenes for a number of years. That moment was very interesting for not only because we saw this young woman, but also because they were just sobbing. And those are moments where you also realize these are children, that they are young, that they didn't necessarily have the composure.
Kim Jong-il's death saw power pass to his son, Kim Jong-un, who was not yet 30 years old and had no political experience. He became the third supreme leader of this unique communist dynasty, which began with his grandfather, Kim Il-sung, in 1948. To ensure dynastic succession, the Kim family used the sacred Mount Paektu as a founding myth.
Mount Baekdu, the mountain that shines with the history of the Korean Revolution, tells the great history of the leadership of Korea by Kim Il-sung, President of the Democratic People's Republic of Korea, as the days go by.
The country's highest mountain holds a special place in Korean folklore. It's said to be the birthplace of the first Korean kingdom more than 4,000 years ago, and was a key military base for North Korea's founding father, Kim Il-sung.
Climbing Baekdu, the sacred revolutionary mountain, Kim Il-sung said with deep emotion, "Whenever I climb Mount Baekdu, I think of comrade Kim Jong-il. Mount Baekdu is his birthplace and the cradle where he nurtured his courage."
The Kims, in trying to extend this hereditary succession, they rely quite a bit on their traditions. I mean, it's endlessly fascinating. And I have so many books that show pictures of Kim Il-sung when he was younger. And if you can compare them side by side with pictures of Kim Jong-un today, and they are exactly trying to replicate pictures of Kim Il-sung that the North Koreans are familiar with.
Kim Jong-un's mother, Ko Yong-wei, was portrayed as the respected mother, Kim Jong-il's most faithful and devoted subject. The couple had 3 children, but the eldest, Kim Yong-chul, was deemed not strong enough to succeed his father. Kim Jong-un was the preferred option. According to former South Korean presidential advisor Chung Sung-chang, he and his sister were close from a young age, with both sent to school in Europe.
김정은은 1996년 여름부터 2001년 초까지 스위스에서 4년 반 동안 생활했습니다. 그러면서 자본주의를 직접 경험을 했고, 김정은이 스위스에 있을 때 김여정도 함께 있었습니다. 그래서 같이 디즈니랜드도 가고 이제 유럽을 여행을 했기 때문에 김여정과 김정은은 많은 경험을 공유하고 있다고 할 수가 있습니다.
The siblings' bond strengthened over time as Kim Yo-jong rose within the Workers' Party. In 2018, she made her first appearance on the world stage during the Winter Olympics in South Korea. In a historic moment, the neighbouring rivals had agreed to march together in the opening ceremony.
Mesdames et messieurs, merci d'accueillir le président de la République de Corée, Moon Jae-in.
And an important moment in Olympic history as the North and South Korean athletes enter as one team under the flag of the Korean Peninsula.
Kim Yo-jong's presence was a big deal. It was the first time a member of North Korea's ruling family had set foot in the South since the end of the Korean War. The spotlight was on the leader's younger sister. During the opening ceremony, she was sitting behind Mike Pence, Vice President of the United States, with whom North Korea is technically still at war. When the American athletes passed in front of the stands, the North Korean delegation gave them an icy reception. But Kim Yo-jong's visit went beyond the sporting arena. It was also political. She would personally deliver an invitation to South Korea's President Moon Jae-in to meet with her brother. US-based academic Lee Sung-yoon is the author of the only biography of Kim Yo-jong.
When it was announced, when North Korea announced that Kim Jong-un's sister would visit South Korea with all of 48 hours advance notification, there was great excitement throughout South Korea. Wow, the princess is coming. Kim Jong-un's own baby sister, little sister, is visiting South Korea. This must be serious. Kim Jong-un must be serious about peace, reconciliation, and denuclearization. At last, peace is near.
The North Koreans were received with great honour by South Korea's unification minister. Veteran senior official Kim Yong-nam was head of the North Korean delegation. But all eyes were on the young woman beside him.
So Kim Yo-jong came and she held her chin up slightly at the airport in South Korea. She knew cameras were everywhere and reporters were filming her, trying to follow her every move. She wore a smile, slightly imperious, I would say, but she held her head straight. When she was received in the VIP room, she, as she entered the room, just looked at 2 or 3 different spots. Like this. She did not turn her head. She did not look excited. She looked as if she were in charge. And all this comes from training.
All of South Korea watched on as Kim Yo-jong and the North Korean delegation were warmly welcomed at the presidential palace.
김정은이 그의 여동생 김여정을 서울에 보낸 것은 이제 김여정을 통해서 이제 한국의 모습을 있는 그대로 이제 파악하고 싶었기 때문이라고 봅니다. 북한의 간부들이 한국에 와서 그들이 보고 느끼는 것을 김정은에게 있는 그대로 보고를 하기는 어려울 겁니다. 만약 한국에 와서 좋은 것을 보고서 그것을 이제 김정은에게 그대로 얘기하면은 한국에 대해서 어떤 동경심이나 환상이 있는 것 아닌가라는 오해를 받을 수 있기 때문에 이제 북한의 일반 간부들은 이제 좋은 것을 보고도 이야기 못하고 부정적인 것만 김정은에게 이야기할 가능성이 높습니다. 그러나 이 김정은은 한국을 있는 그대로 보고 이해하고 싶었기 때문에 그에게 모든 걸 허심탄회하게 이야기할 수 있는 자신의 여동생 김여정을 그때 남한에 보냈다고 생각이 됩니다.
The South Korean media covered Kim Yo-jong's visit as if she was a rock star, scrutinizing her every move. Lee Chong-min is an expert on North Korea at the Carnegie Endowment for International Peace in the United States.
The South Korean press at that time was extremely amazed at her level of aptitude, the way she talked with the president and other high-level officials, and there was this aura of this, wow, she's like the Madonna, of North Korea. I mean, Kim Yo-jong became a very important psychological icon of the North Korean regime.
Kim Yo-jong's return to Pyongyang was triumphant. Her charm campaign in the South cemented her place in North Korea's circle of power. Her success in calming relations between the normally hostile nations was seen just 2 months later when Kim Jong-un met South Korean President Moon Jae-in in the demilitarized zone dividing the two Koreas. Joining hands, the two Korean presidents crossed no man's land together. Throughout the meeting between the leaders, Kim Yo-jong was never far from her brother's side, ever present in North Korea's media coverage. And on television in South Korea, a government spokesman sang her praises.
문 대통령은 배석한 김여정 부부장을 가리키며 김 부부장은 남쪽에서는 아주 스타가 되었다라고 말했고 큰 웃음이 있었습니다. 김여정 위원장 부부장도 얼굴이 빨개졌습니다.
The goodwill continued over the following months with more meetings between the leaders. Each time, Kim Yo-jong was at the centre of the action. The thawing of relations between the two Koreas was all the more remarkable because it followed a period of great tension over Pyongyang's nuclear and ballistic missile program. Just a few months earlier, North Korea conducted its 6th nuclear test.
대륙간 탄도 로켓 장착용 수소탄 시험에서 완전 성공.
Days later, US President Donald Trump lambasted North Korea at the United Nations.
Now North Korea's reckless pursuit of nuclear weapons and ballistic missiles threatens the entire world. The United States has great strength and patience, but if it is forced to defend itself or its allies, we will have no choice but to totally destroy North Korea. Rocket Man is on a suicide mission for himself and for his regime.
2 months later, North Korea tested its most powerful intercontinental ballistic missile so far. Kim Jong-un announced it could strike anywhere on the US mainland and that his nuclear program was now complete. He was ready to talk to the US from this position of strength. It was against this backdrop that Kim Yo-jong made her successful visit to South Korea. But an even more unexpected diplomatic breakthrough followed. Donald Trump agreed to meet Kim Jong-un in Singapore. It was an historic first and was organised against the advice of the hawks of Trump's administration.
Mr. President, how's it going so far, sir? Very good. What do you think? Very, very good. Excellent relationship. Thank you. Thank you very much.
The two leaders signed a statement that mentioned the denuclearization of the Korean peninsula. Kim Yo-jong had been the star during her visit to South Korea, but at this meeting she remained in the background in the presence of her brother. Former US National Security Advisor John Bolton was in Singapore during the talks.
I don't think any of us could have told that she was his sister unless we had seen pictures and knew who she was. She behaved like a staff person, and there was no indication of a family relationship. She was at a lunch that we had the day of the negotiations. It was not really a business lunch. It was more informal, but I don't remember her saying anything during the course of the lunch. I'm not sure I remember anybody on the North Korean side other than Kim Jong-un saying anything at the lunch.
So when the supreme leader is present at an official meeting, his officials visibly are in fear of displeasing the supreme leader. Kim Yo-jong is not afraid of her brother, but in an important public event, Kim Yo-jong would be out of place to speak, unless Kim Jong-un asks her to speak.
The goodwill of the Singapore summit did not last long. The leaders met twice more, but Donald Trump ran into the same problems as his predecessors with regard to nuclear weapons.
Each administration believed that they could negotiate some kind of deal with North Korea that would be acceptable to both sides, that would involve North Korea giving up its nuclear weapons program, and they were wrong every single time. North Korea has made multiple commitments in writing to give up its nuclear weapons program, but it never quite gets around to it.
And as diplomacy failed, military tensions mounted. North Korea resumed its ballistic missile tests. Kim Yo-jong's role changed too. Gone was a charming persona from a visit to South Korea, replaced by a tough-talking version. She promised an apocalypse which would destroy the imperialists and their lackeys.
It does leave Kim Jong-un with the ability to hold down the fort at home. And also, when she is attributed to these extremely harsh statements against South Korea and the United States, it still leaves him above the fray.
Kim Yo-jong's tougher side was on full display in June 2019. During the détente between the two countries, South Korea spent millions of dollars on a joint facility in North Korea called the Inter-Korean Liaison Office, where officials from the North and South could meet regularly. It lasted less than a year, allegedly blown up on Kim Yo-jong's orders.
건물 파편이 사방으로 튀어오릅니다. 4층짜리 남북 공동 연락사무소는 흔적도 없이 사라졌고.
남북 연락사무소 폭파 지시를 내리면서 그에 대한 이미지가 매우 부정적으로 바뀌었습니다. 그래서 지금 김 여정에 대한 이미지는 한국 사회에서 이제 긍정적 이미지와 부정적 이미지가 혼재되어 있다라고 볼 수가 있는데 그에 대한 어느 정도의 기대감과 함께 또 이제 그에 대한 실망 이런 것들이 지금 섞여 있다라고 볼 수 있습니다.
When South Korea offered economic aid in exchange for denuclearization, Kim Yo-jong retorted, "No one barters their destiny for corn cake." In August 2021, Seoul reacted to the mounting tension, announcing new joint military exercises with the United States. Kim Yo-jong was enraged and fumed that the North Korean peninsula would never see peace as long as American troops remained in South Korea.
When you have a country like North Korea determined to get nuclear weapons, you can negotiate forever, and you're never going to get them to give the weapons up.
Was there a time in the past when denuclearization of North Korea was possible? I don't know. Nobody can answer that. I mean, Kim Jong-un would have to have his head examined if he were really willing to relinquish his nuclear arsenal after his predecessors, his father and grandfather, have spent half a century in building them. And of course, Kim Jong-un's legitimacy internally comes to a great extent from his decade-long legacy of having much further advanced his nation's nuclear and ballistic missile capabilities. Real denuclearization of North Korea is today an impossibility.
Amid this climate of hostility, Kim Yo-jong has emerged as an indispensable political figure in North Korea.
The North Koreans are trying to paint Kim Yo-jong as this fearsome, strong, bold, sometimes threatening, sometimes charming political figure. But is she ready to step into a bigger role? She still looks like that young woman who understands that she has a role to play, perhaps has those ambitions, but still has a ways to go politically in terms of that confidence and that sense of authority.
When speaking in public, she certainly plays the part.
사상전선을 지켜선 남다른 사명과 그 어느 때보다 무거운 책임감을 안고 전체 인민을 투철한 주적관과 계급적 원수들에 대한 비타협적인 투쟁 정신을 지닌 계급의 존입투사로 무자비한 복수자로 준비시키며 가슴마다에 만장약된 복수와 징벌의 의지가 그대로 일터와 처소마다에서 단결적 관철을 위한 혁혁한 성과로 이어지도록 사상사업의 화력을 더욱 드세게 들이대겠습니다.
And another young woman could be groomed for power. In 2022, Kim Jong-un presented one of his daughters, 9-year-old Kim Ju-ai, to the public for the first time during an intercontinental ballistic missile test. But for now, it is Kim Yo-jong who stands by her brother at the centre of power, an heir apparent in the world's most secretive country.
만약에 김정은에게 심각한 건강 이상이 발생을 하거나 그래서 그가 이제 정상적으로 북한을 통치할 수 없을 경우에는 당연히 김여정이 그 빈자리를 메울 것 같은 가능성이 매우 높습니다. 이제 이런 사회에서 김여정은 바로 이제 김정일의 이제 딸로서 다른 간부들보다 우월적인 지위를 갖고 있습니다. 그래서 그의 공식적인 타이틀과는 무관하게 현재 북한에서 그가 2인자라고 할 수가 있습니다.
I believe Kim Yo-jong has the full confidence of Kim Jong-un. And this is extraordinary because in the very male-dominated chauvinistic culture and society that is North Korea, we have never seen such a powerful woman who is a key member of the royal family.